The book of Isaiah is one of the major prophetic books in the Old Testament, attributed to the prophet Isaiah, who ministered in Judah during the 8th century BC. The book contains visions, prophecies, and messages of judgment and hope, addressing the immediate circumstances of Isaiah's time and foreshadowing future events, including the coming of the Messiah. The book of Isaiah is divided into 3 main sections. First Isaiah chapters 1 to 39, second Isaiah chapters 40 to 55, and third Isaiah chapters 56 to 66. First Isaiah. Prophecies of judgment and warning. Call of Isaiah. Isaiah describes his dramatic call to be a prophet through a vision of God's throne, emphasizing God's holiness and Isaiah's commission to deliver a message to a rebellious people. Condemnation of sin. Isaiah rebukes Judah and Jerusalem for their social injustices, idolatry, and hypocrisy in worship, warning of God's impending judgment. Warnings against foreign alliances. Isaiah advises kings, particularly Ahaz, to trust in God rather than seeking military alliances with foreign powers like Assyria. Prophecies of Emmanuel. Isaiah foretells the birth of Emmanuel, a sign of God's presence and deliverance, which Christians later interpret as a prophecy of Jesus. Judgment on nations. Isaiah pronounces oracles against various nations, examples, Assyria, Babylon, and Egypt, demonstrating God's sovereignty over all nations. Hope for a righteous king. Isaiah prophesies the coming of a righteous ruler from David's line, often interpreted as the Messiah, who will bring justice and peace. Second Isaiah. Messages of comfort and redemption. Comfort for the exiles. This section is addressed to the Jewish exiles in Babylon, assuring them of God's plan to deliver and restore them. God's sovereignty. Isaiah emphasizes God's power as the creator and redeemer, contrasting him with the false gods of the nations. The suffering servant. In the servant songs, e.g., Isaiah 42, 49, 50, and 53, Isaiah describes a servant of the Lord who will suffer and die for the sins of others, bringing salvation to many. Christians see this as a prophecy of Jesus Christ. Call to renewal. Isaiah calls the exiles to return to God, emphasizing forgiveness, redemption, and the promise of a new covenant. Third Isaiah. Visions of restoration and future glory. Inclusiveness in worship. God's blessings are extended to all people, including foreigners and eunuchs, emphasizing the universal scope of salvation. Rebuilding Jerusalem. Isaiah speaks of a renewed Jerusalem, symbolizing a restored community living in harmony with God. Judgment and hope. The book concludes with a dual message of judgment for the wicked and eternal reward for the righteous. New heavens and new earth. Isaiah envisions a time of ultimate peace and restoration, where death and suffering are no more. Themes: holiness and sovereignty of God. Isaiah emphasizes God's unmatched power, purity, and authority over all nations and creation. Judgment and redemption. The book balances warnings of judgment for sin with promises of redemption and restoration for those who repent. Messianic prophecies. Isaiah frequently predicts the coming of the Messiah, highlighting themes of justice, peace, and salvation. God's faithfulness. Despite Israel's unfaithfulness, God remains committed to his covenant and plan for their ultimate restoration. Universal salvation. Isaiah expands the vision of salvation to include all nations, pointing to God's plan for global redemption. The book of Isaiah is central to both Jewish and Christian traditions, offering timeless messages of hope, justice, and the redemptive work of God through his chosen servant.